Hey folks, I thought I'd make a video here of what it takes to lay out the chute properly before you fly. I just gassed the machine up, and I probably won't be flying tonight because it's a bit breezy, so I thought I'd take this opportunity to make this video. I always fly with a full tank of gas. You just never know when you're going to need more gas than you thought you would. In other words, if you're flying and you wind up flying all the way downwind and then turn around and find that you're just kind of hanging there in the air, it's going to take you a while to get back home. That is to the airport. In any case, here we go. I just gassed it up. One of the things I had a nasty habit of doing was forgetting to screw this gas cap back on. So I just got this rigged thing, some fishing line swivels, put it on there. So even if I do forget to put it back on, put the cap back on, the cap is not going to get sucked into the prop when it's running. I don't care about the cap, but I do care about the prop being damaged. That's an expensive mistake. So here's the bag. It contains the entire chute. It's all stuffed in there from my last flight. Whoops, my last flight. I'm just gonna start removing it from the machine where it's been tucked neatly since its last flight. Here we go. And I should point this downward a bit. There we go. The wind is blowing a little bit, but I think I'll be okay laying this out. At least you'll get the idea. One thing I do want to do is change bags. This bag that I've been using is kind of a nuisance. It's a bit too small for this chute, and it makes for tough stuffing. So put this aside. Alright. People who fly fixed-wing aircraft, they think this is a big nuisance and a pain in the ass to do, and yeah, it is, but hey, that's part of what you got to do if you want to get in the air and down safely. Pull one side there, one side out there. There we go. This chute is about 500 square feet. It's siliconized, so even if it gets wet, it dries pretty quickly, but of course it's not made to fly in rainy weather. Right there you see that black spot, that marks the center line of the chute. I always line up the center line of the chute with the center line of the aircraft, and then I proceed to pull the chute out from its stuffed up position. There we go. That's one side done. The wind is blowing from this direction, so I'm hoping that the chute doesn't get grabbed by the wind and flipped over. There you see, if I lift it, it kind of fills with air. So there we go. We got it kind of roughly laid out. Then it's time to take these line socks off. These just serve to keep the lines protected and also to keep them from getting buggered up in the bag. So there we go. I won't fold this up. It takes too much time, but usually what I will do is just fold that up neatly and throw it in my little bag over there. So we'll do the other side here. I'm never in a hurry to do this. And if I am, I don't fly. No, this is, if you're in a hurry, you're going to forget to do things or overlook things that became obvious. The other thing you want to do too is look over the engine, various parts of the machine, to make sure that nothing is broken or wobbled loose or whatever. Okay. There's basically 3 sets of lines on each side. There are the lines that go to the leading edge, these lines that go to the trailing edge and the middle part of the chute, the center part. And then there's the steering lines, and you'll see them as the chute unfolds, where they play into all of this. Okay. Whenever you're messing with these lines, you always want to make sure that they're oriented properly. So for instance, this configuration, that's wrong. You want it like that. These are always the leading edge lines to the outside of the machine. The other lines go to the inside of the machine, and the steering lines, you know, occupy the very inside portion. Okay, so that's laid out properly, and let's hope that the wind doesn't grab this. The steering lines are connected to the very bottom edge of the chute. There, you see? Right there. So when you want to make a left-hand turn, you want to tighten these lines, and it tucks the chute's trailing edge downward, increasing the drag on that side and pulling you to that left side. And you'll notice the steering line goes here, then down there, and down to the foot, the steering bar on the respective sides. Okay. Basically, laying this out is fairly simple. This is the center line on the trailing edge. You want that lined up with the center of the machine, just like that leading edge is lined up there with the center of the machine. You want to make sure that that all the lines are on top of the chute, not under the chute, like there. So, again, these are the steering lines. These are the ones that pull that trailing edge and pull it out flat there. Okay. Again, this is the leading edge. I always lift these high. There we go. There's a twisted line right here. You do not want that to be like that. You want it to be like that. Okay? So, the leading edge on the right side of the aircraft is okay. And then I grab the middle portion and somewhat the trailing edge. These go to the center portion of the chute, as well as a portion of the trailing edge. And again, you want these untangled. You want them, I like to see them completely. And then once I'm satisfied that they're not tangled, which I am now, I flip them onto the chute and then lay these on top. I like to see all the lines make sure that they're not under the chute. That looks like a tangled mess, but it's not. Okay, so I'm going to move the machine forward so I can grab this. And there, you see the way they go under? You don't want that. You want them everything on top of the chute. There we go. Again, center, center. Now you see it's curled under there. All you have to do is pull on the steering lines, and that'll be pulled out nicely. There you go. Right. Again, leading edge. I lift them. There, you see the way they get tangled in? There we go. They're not really tangled, but they're entwined. And you do not want them entwined when you are taking off. It will pull you to one side or another, meaning that you don't have proper control of the aircraft on takeoff. Come on, come on. These are like spaghetti lines. On my other chute, the other machine, these lines are color-coded, so you can see whether something is tangled. There we go. See? Oops. There's a little tangle, little loop. There. Good there. Good there. Good there. Good there. Good there. Okay. I usually grab these. I throw them over my shoulder or my neck, so I can keep them elevated and off the ground as much as I can. Then I get these and I kind of twirl them a little bit in my hand and make sure that these two are not tangled, and there I can see they're not. Oops, there is one here that was a little tangled, looped over, that is. Again, you want this chute to fill up with air as soon as you roll forward on your takeoff. Alright, I'm not real happy with what I'm seeing here. So I'm going to put these leading edge lines aside for now and take a closer look at these. Again, it doesn't usually take very long to do this. I've slowed this down a little bit so you can see there. You see the way it's tangled there? Twist it over. You don't want that. You want them like this, straight out, just like that. Okay, I'm happy with that. No rush in doing this. If you rush, you're not going to have a clean takeoff and you can get hurt. Okay, so just like on the other side, I grab these edges, these lines that go to the trailing edge and the center part of the chute. I flip them up. I lay them flat on the chute like that. Drop them, and drop these lines on top of them. Okay. So that's that. Last thing, want to make sure this is out here like that. Want to make sure that these lines are on top of the chute, not under the chute. And again, I think of this whole thing as though it's a number 10 business envelope that I am unfurling, that I am ungluing, and just laying out there. You see the lines, the way they fall properly? This bugger goes there. Again, sometimes the center line gets moved a little, but there it is. Again, I'm doing this slowly and speaking as I do it. Doesn't usually take quite this long. But here, I'll back off and you can see what it looks like. That's it. Some people lay it out in an arc. Doesn't really matter whether you lay it out in an arc or whether you lay it out like a number 10 business envelope would be laid out. What I mean to say is, you know, all these lines are straight and so on and so forth. It's not that critical. As long as the center line of the aircraft and the, and the center line of the chute and the wind direction are lined up, you're like 99.9% guaranteed that you're going to get off the ground cleanly and without incident. Take a shortcut and rush, you're going to get in trouble. Okay. The other thing I look at are these. Inspect them, make sure that they're okay. Make sure that when the aircraft gets into the air, you know, everything just unfolds nicely like that. Make sure that these lines aren't tangled or in any way restricted. And that's it, okay? Then you go sit in the aircraft, you turn the engine back on, you put your headset on, announce to whoever's in the airport area that you are ready to take off. You know, this is all done toward the end of the runway. You know, you lay this out on the end of the runway or near the end of the runway, off the runway. Usually I do it on the grass, but close, very close to the runway. And you announce your intentions to the airport traffic, and then you give it the throttle, start rolling down the runway, and the chute will sweep up over the machine. Once you're sure that all the lines are, none of the lines are tangled, and I determine that by looking in that mirror there that gives me a view, kind of a bird's eye view from the bottom up. Once I'm satisfied that everything is centered, unfolded properly, no tangles that is, I give it the throttle and you're up and away pretty quickly. And that's it.